Toronto Raptors, regardless of who was out there on the floor and who wasn't for the Dubs, it was a game that they came to win on the road, and they did 38 times. The finals have been even at 1 after 2 games, 31 of the 38. The winner in Game 3 has won the championship. The Raptors by 14 at Oracle. Inspired performance by Steph Curry, historic in some ways, but with no KD and no Klay Thompson. No win for the Dubs, suddenly challenged now down 2-1 with question marks about 2 of their stars heading into Game 4 and the rest of this series. The crowd filing out in a way they haven't in 6 finals games at home, and that is with a loss. They had come in winners of 5 straight this postseason at Oracle, 5 straight in the finals at home. It's their first loss in a finals at home in the KD era, even though asterisk, of course, he did not play. Meanwhile, up in the north, this should make everyone feel better in TO, not able to be here, hanging out together. Now 2 wins away from a place they've never been before. Here's a place you have been with us. It is game time here live at the finals, presented by YouTube TV. Casey Stern, C. Webb, Jet, Shaq. Guys, we knew, Shaquille, that it was going to be a tough task without Klay. You knew you were going to have to get a monster, unbelievable game from Steph. They lost, but you got that monster, unbelievable, and really an inspiring performance from Steph as well.
You know, Steph played well. You know, he was going to have to come out and do that. He was home. He was comfortable. But the others for the Golden State Warriors
presses.
Didn't.
There was a man that's responsible
let's get to the story.
for the real game
Everybody
tonight.
at Golden State should hate Shaq.
Without question. Before
in
the
general,
game,
but
before
also
the game,
because of this.
Because
Shaq,
of what he done to him, yeah,
he
personally.
He tapped me on the side, and he looked at C-Webb, and he said, my rookie over there playing around. He's talking about Danny Green.
True story.
He said, Danny, come over here. Come over here. And he grabbed him over, whispered something in his ear about getting ready for the game and said you wasn't doing it. Said it on the air. He said Danny Green will have his breakout game tonight.
Because Danny went to the other side and started really shooting hard. And I go to Kenny. I said, man, I think he's going to have a big game.
And I was like, no, I said, it can't
big
be
fella
that.
got him focused.
No, we didn't believe. But
yeah.
Now, we don't have, I don't believe, the dream sequence music they might put on this. But, Shaq, we do take you back to the past in the DeLorean to this moment from earlier tonight.
Man, what I saw about Danny when I was with Cleveland, guy didn't get a lot of playing time, but he practiced hard. You know, he battled against, Boobie Gibson, LeBron James every day. And, you know, I told him, I said, look, I play with a lot of shooters. And I'm not going to tell you how to mess your shot because I've never been a shooter, but I played with D. Scott. I played with guys, Jeff Turner. Every time they left it, just leave it up there. I've seen Stojakovic. You know, I played with Rick Fox, Big Shot Bob. Every time they leave it, it goes in. So I used to always tell him, just leave it. And then, you know, he went on and played with the Spurs. Like, I'd go down there and see him, and I always tell him, I just brought him over here because I saw him messing around in the warm-ups. And I said, hey, man, this is the finals. Leave it and stop effing around. Get your game right.
Yes,
Here is the video of the whisper heard around the basketball world.
And it wasn't a nice
Game 3.
whisper. I wish I could repeat what I said. But listen, all these young guys, you know, I played with him, and I've been a leader my whole career. And listen, this is the finals, and he hasn't been playing well. And we all know what he can do. When he was with the system, Coach Popovich was me. Coach Popovich would pull him to the side and say whatever. And I just want everybody to, you know, play at a high level. And I saw him messing around. You know, I was over here looking at it. It kind of upset me. And I pulled him to the side.
It upset you.
Yeah, it did. Because, you know, he's out there laughing and joking. When you're shooting 20%, it ain't no laughing and joking.
But
like, I used to come out here. Yeah, I mean, like, I used to come out here and see Samaki and Devin Jordan and guys, and I used to pull them back
I
and
love
say,
you
hey,
just
man.
laid out 2 dudes.
No, because you know what? Chris Webber hates Samaki Walker. Shout out to my man,
Devin
He won the
George.
championship after dancing on stage with Shaq. Shaq, can you dig? Samaki, we might win 3. We might win 4.
You know what's funny, too, is because when we saw Kenny, look, the Warriors, one thing, they ton of fight in this game. Not just from Steph. They were diving on the ball, grabbing loose balls, rebounds, doing the best they could. But the three-pointers from Danny Green, the one from Van Vliet late, a couple from Gasol, it was the three-point line, Jet, where really the Raptors seemed to shut down any momentum when the Warriors started to get the crowd into it late.
Well, it's a different game when, obviously, there's no Klay Thompson on the floor. because the defensive assignments change dramatically. The passing lanes change dramatically because you have to start guarding both Klay and Steph at such a high area of the floor. It leaves so many more driving lanes for Draymond. But now one side of the floor all of a sudden shrunk in because you don't have to guard guys at the distance. So your help defense is better, your recovery defense is better. But when both of them, or three of them, when Durant is on the floor, it makes it virtually impossible to play the one thing that you learned when you first pick up the basketball to play defense: help and recover. You cannot do that when they have those shooters on the floor. So the basketball principles that you learn from Dor are thrown out the window.
And this question goes to the panel. Have you ever been in a club and see somebody dance? They're in rhythm, and then they do a move, and then they're off rhythm? Toronto played in rhythm all night. No ill-advised shots, draw, kick. When they got the lead with 4 or 5 minutes, when they had the lead in the fourth quarter, 5 minutes left, they came down, they took their time, and they played great. The others played great. Kyle Lowry.
Yeah.
This is why me and Kenny.
Give Kyle Lowry some love.
This is why me and Kenny and Charles were always on Kyle Lowry, because the way he's playing now, we want to see him play like that all year. He's always up and down, but listen, this playoffs, today they needed him to step up. He stepped up well. Everybody played well. Everybody took rhythm shots. Everybody played their role. Ibaka was big defensively with those 4 blocks. Gasol was very aggressive, going at, DeMarcus, and they play well. They believe that they can win the championship, and they showed it tonight.
And Lowry, not only was he big, but even after getting pushed by a fan, which everyone has seen that video by now, hopefully that guy not allowed back in the arena. Where, by the way, in this arena, they are chanting, "Let's go Raptors."
Oh, Toronto is holding
at
it down.
Oracle, which means
It's not over.
that they are as
deep in-
excited as I'm sure.
It's not
celebrate.
nobody said with Toronto fans.
they deep in here.
Well, they argue on
fans
set.
got
We'll
behind
listen to
Shaq.
Coach
You don't want
Nurse,
to listen.
who has no arguments after being up 2-1.
Say, questions for Coach? We've got the boom mics around the room. Please raise your hand. We'll take the first question in the back on 4.
Coach in the back, Arash Madani with Sportsnet. Danny Green said before the finals, people would stop him in the street and say, keep shooting, keep shooting, keep shooting. He said, I'm going to keep shooting. What did you get from him as a shooter tonight?
Well, I think Danny's, buckets, I think boosted our whole team's confidence because we're kind of used to most of the year relying on those. And I think, when he banged a couple there and then he kind of kept it going, I think it was just a huge confidence boost all around.
Over on the right side.
Coach over here, Dan Devine from The Ringer. I had a question. Kyle Lowry, sort of a tough couple of games to start the series offensively with foul trouble. Did you have a sense that he was sort of going to be able to break out, and what did you see from him that led to his great performance tonight?
Yeah. I had a little talk with him before the game, and his kind of comments to me was he was going to let it rip tonight. So that was good. You saw him aggressive in transition, but again, usually when he's going good, it means he's hitting the paint. He's attacking off the screen and roll and really getting downhill. That's usually a sign that he's got a lot of his offensive game and confidence going.
Steve in the back.
Obviously, a big night for the Raptors. Their fans here singing "Oh Canada" while Coach Nurse
Stop it.
is talking.
Hey, listen, they're deep in here.
Hey, look.
Hey,
Listen.
Shaq, at least let
Hey,
the fans
the
front
North
run.
is-
They know it could be over next week. They know it could be over in a second.
If I got a wolf in the backyard and he's not trying to do nothing, leave him alone.
But they don't know where they're
Don't
not.
wake these people
Don't
up.
know rocks at 'em.
okay,
Hey,
listen.
this is their first.
Yeah,
this is their first experience.
What
They
they
don't
freaking
know.
do, stop it.
They
Be
don't
quiet.
As long as they look, the hamstring situation we don't know about for Game 4. We do know this. Hamstrung or not, the performance from Steph Curry. Let's get into the history of it, because you look at the numbers here, guys. 45 points, 5 boards, 5 assists in a finals game. I mean, that's an impressive. Look, we're talking about the logo. Barry, Iverson, James. I mean,
Stepping over
that is an
Ty Lue. I remember that
impressive
game.
list. And Webb, how surprised were you in some points of this game how much freedom Steph seemed to find, both with help of his teammates in the offense to get shots and also with his tenacity of getting into the paint.
The great thing about Steph is he doesn't settle, so you always have to be on guard. So he's going to walk into a three like that. Of course, the defense can be better. You should get up, but at the same time, what do you do right here knowing that he's a great passer? As soon as you think about him, what happens? He gets the ball up. Now, Siakam doesn't stay on the double team. He doesn't settle, and that's why when you look at teams that play just analytics, let's say Houston will miss 27 threes in a row. Curry will shoot a layup and not just the three. So he plays common sense with analytics, and that's why it's so hard to guard him. But even more, AI is probably the smallest guy on that list. But when you think about what he does, what he did today without the help of the other players, man, it was just a special game to watch.
In watching this game, and for those of you at home, the biggest thing that hampered Shaq, this Warriors offense, which was not something that I think people thought before the game, the loss of Kevon Looney. Why? Because Boogie, after all those minutes in Game 2, running on adrenaline, kind of seemed to run into a bit of a wall. We're going to show and break down some of that video in a second. Steve Kerr's seen his team rise above many challenges in the past. They're down 2-1 now in these finals.
Third row on the fourth seat in. Fourth row. Fourth row.
Steve, Paul Antunes, ESPN Brazil. Even though you lost, it seemed like in that fourth quarter, you guys were flying around, diving on loose balls, and just playing really, really hard. Considering all the adversity you guys are going through here in the playoffs, how proud are you of your guys tonight?
Oh, very proud. They played really, really hard and gave it everything they had, and just ran into a better team tonight. Toronto played an excellent game. Made big shots every time they needed to. We never could get over the hump. Every time we fought back and kind of got it to 6, 7, or 8, whatever it was, they made big shots. So they outplayed us. They deserved it. And but I'm very proud of our effort. And now we just got to bounce back and hopefully get back here Friday night. Hopefully get a little healthier and get some guys back. But we'll see how that goes. But main thing is just got to play better.
Is Steph's performance tonight one of the best you've ever seen?
Steph was incredible. The stuff he does is he does things that honestly I don't think anybody has ever done before. The way he plays the game, the way he shoots it, and the combination of his ball handling and shooting skills, it's incredible to watch. He was amazing.
Second row on your right.
Coach Trista Crick, USA Today. You obviously want to err on the side of caution when it comes to injuries, but was there any of the mentality of lose the battle, win the war as it relates to sitting Clay tonight?
Well, the whole point was to not risk a bigger injury that would keep him out of the rest of the series. So that was the decision we made, and I feel very comfortable with it. Never would have forgiven myself if I played him tonight and he had gotten hurt. So you live with the decision. You make a wise decision, the wisest one you can, then you live with it and you move forward. So the good thing is Clay has done well the last 2 days. Now he's got another couple of days to heal. Hopefully he'll be out there Friday.
Tim over here.
Tim Calhoun, The Athletic. The
Coach
decision
Kerr talking
on Clay,
about
did
the
it really come down
performance
to
there
last minute?
from Steph Curry, who, by the way, had a finals high for him in the first quarter with 17 and a half with 25. But we talk about injuries and playing with injuries and adrenaline, and a lot led to everything. Boogie gave really everything he could, Shaq, in that 28 minutes in Game 2. But you could tell because there were a lot of plays where we were saying this watching it. If Looney's in the game, they're easy lobs, they're dunks. There were a number of missed layups. He ends up going 1 for 7 from the floor. We're going to show some of the video, but you could tell there's no lift there for Cousins.
Listen, he's had 2 major injuries on the same side, on the same leg, and he battled. He came back. He fought his way back. We thought he was done for the rest of the season. He's been working out 2 times a day, rehabbing. But you're right. He just didn't have that lift today. Usually when he gets around the basket, back in his old Sacramento days, it was elbow, drop step dunk. But today, the little flip shots, and he wasn't getting the calls that he thought he deserved. But he didn't have a lot of lift tonight.
Kenny, obviously you do the best that you can with it. Bogut, in terms of his minutes, played 21. That ended up playing more than DeMarcus did in that second half. But without Looney, a guy who probably didn't get enough credit before what we saw in the last series, it's tough for them because that's really that's all they have, other than a little bit of Jordan Bell we saw late in the game.
Well, they have 3 of their major guys who played major minutes between KD, Clay, and Looney, before Cousins came back. Those are the 3 guys that were playing with Steph and Draymond. So, yes, it's a different basketball team. It's a different emphasis, but the pace of the game changes, and it's not the same. So they're a little uncomfortable. They can't get into the same, as Shaq said, rhythm that they were in because they have to play slower and a little bit more deliberate. But be that as it may, the one thing I said before the game is you're still going to have to score 110, 115 points to beat them. Toronto did tonight. Golden State, 109 points with everyone out of the game. You still have to score at a high clip.
And speaking of scoring, I haven't seen this in a while. 30 points, 18 points, 17 points, 18 points, and 23 from the starting 5. Yes. That's impressive.
Yeah, very impressive.
When you look at Klay Thompson, now you heard Steve Kerr say, and before the game, the report was likely or hoping to play Game 4, but it's a hamstring, so now you continue to monitor it, right, Webb, over here over the next couple of days. Even though I think everybody thought he would play tonight, or at least will play Game 4, we have to at least approach the opportunity of talking about what if he doesn't play in Game 4. So let me ask you, based on what you saw tonight, if there's no KD and no Clay in Game 4, even if it's just for one more game in the series, how do the Warriors find a way to beat this Raptor team? You got pretty much an all-time performance out of Steph, and it still wasn't enough.
They won't. If they don't have KD or Klay Thompson, they can't win this series, period. Can
they win a game?
I don't know about the game, but for the series, and we just talked about DeMarcus Cousins, who's battling back from an injury, and it's tough, and he hasn't played a while. Well, it's unfair of us to think that he's going to score that much. It's unfair of us to say Siakam is going to have the game that he had in Game 1, and I think it's unfair to expect Klay Thompson, one of the best shooters this league has seen, to come and have 30 points and his team just win. He still has to recover from the game. Look, he still has heat on his Achilles. As Shaq just mentioned, that whole left side is being banged up, and so it's not so much that, oh my God, they can't do it without him. This is the NBA. And you still have to have great players, even though this is a dynasty and a great team that we're watching. But without them, they're going to have to move the ball. They're going to have to find help from someone else. Livingston is going to have to knock down shots. But on the other end, how are they going to stop people when you have to have DeMarcus Cousins stopping somebody on the pick and roll knowing he's injured? What if you continue to go at Clay? So this team is good, and what's so fun about watching them is their ball movement. But it's going to be fun watching them figure out how to do it because without 2 great shooters, it'll be tough.
I'll say this. I'm going to do a Charles. I guarantee Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant will be playing in Game 4. Guarantee. I think that was the other reason why we can hold them back, because now we're going to have everyone for Game 4, and we're going to go after the series starting on Game 4
and make it a 3-game series. Go back on the road.
We're going after it on Game 4, and the series starts then, because. If KD doesn't come back for Game 4, it's no reason to come back at all, possibly. And so now everyone will be in the lineup for Golden State. I guarantee.
And the keys for Toronto, you have to do the same thing you did today. Don't come in here with a 2-1 lead, being cute, taking ill-advised shots. Play great basketball. Play great defense. I kind of like that Steph had 47. Because nobody else is doing anything. Now, if you got Steph 47 and somebody else 20, somebody else 15, then you get in trouble.
They don't have somebody else, though, right, Shaq? I mean, that's the problem.
Yeah, no, they don't. I mean, they got a bunch of guys that can give you, the 15 to 20 points. But this kid stepped up. He lost his coveted spot as the 1-2 punch on the Toronto because, he's been up and down. And, Siakam has had a great playoff. So we kind of, gave him the 2 of the Toronto 1-2 punch. But, if they got those 3 guys playing well, because listen, Kawhi is always going to give you his quiet 30. It's not a flashy 30. It's a nice solid 30. So if he can get some help, and he got help from 4 guys tonight. So if he can get help from 4 guys, They got a shot at winning
Yeah,
the
the
championship.
quietest 30.
He got the quietest 30 I've ever seen in my life.
It was just
No
smooth.
dunks.
Oh, yeah.
No
One
flashy
that little
moves.
left-hand dunk,
6
but nothing.
assists, 7 rebounds.
Couple of
Yeah,
easy
crazy.
threes in transition in
It
big
was
spots,
It
right?
was a very subtle 30 points.
And we got big shots from Van Vliet. That continues to be a story. Hit that huge shot late. Steve Kerr did say, by the way, that moving forward, Boogie will be fine. So he is scheduled to be part of that mix in Game 4. Pascal Siakam's been such a huge part of the Raptors' run.
Shot went off
He'll
the screen.
join us
There it
on
is.
Set Live.